Hey, I'm Jay from Canon Collective. I capture a lot of things, but one of my favourite subjects is wildlife. So let's go through and unpack my typical kit for wildlife photography. First off, I'd start with my main weapon of choice, and that would be the Canon EOS 1DX Mark II, paired with our brand new 600 EF Series 3. My medium focal length lens, something like our EF 24-70 f2.8 Series 2. 16-35 f2.8 Series 3 for Canon EF 100-400 Series 2, and a 1.4x converter as well. Another solution that I find shooting in wildlife is when working under dappled or mixed lighting. A speed light for me comes in handy when shooting in those conditions. Okay, so right now I'd like to share with you my top tips in wildlife photography. And I would definitely say that my absolute number one would be to always consider shooting your long shots, your medium shots, and your wide shots. Now in doing so, you're actually looking at creating a series of images that tell more of a story. For example, a wide-angled lens may look at an animal in its environment. Also an establishing shot to show a sense of location, the sense of where the subject lives. Now for that, my 16-35, my 24-70 definitely comes in handy. Moving into your long focal length lenses, like our 600mm and our 100-400, gives me the ability to avoid just shooting everything long, everything up close. It is probably something that a lot of photographers getting into wildlife photography go to. I've tended to find that over the years, I've favoured more the wider or the medium focal length shots. Okay, my next tip revolves around considering not only your subject being important, but equally as important as your backgrounds. I'll often find looking at my subject, I'll be looking left, right, even behind me to find where the better light would be, the less distracting background would be, and also what the light's doing in relation to your background and your subject. Now moving into looking at better backgrounds, it might be avoiding much brighter highlight sections or looking for a lower contrast background, either that being high key, shooting against an open white overcast sky for example. Lowering your angle of view is one thing that will help open up your backgrounds. So I tend to find the easiest way to become better at wildlife is to consider backgrounds first, because quite often it's very easy to fall into seeing the subject that interests you and forget about looking around your whole viewfinder, considering your backgrounds. Another mantra of mine in wildlife photography is a small movement will make a big difference. And quite often that would be a neutral blue against a sky as a background versus a neutral or a dappled green using defocused backgrounds such as foliage. My third tip would be about lowering your angle of view and being as close to eye level or ground level as possible. There have been many times where I've been shooting from vehicles where it's either not safe or physically impossible to leave the vehicle. With that, I would either use a monopod to lower the camera down the side of the car and use something like the Canon Connect app wirelessly to see and control your camera and release the shutter. Now by getting down to ground level or eye level, it's a much more imposing or dominating way to photograph subjects like lions, and particularly for me, is shooting elephants. So you'll see that one of my all-time favourite images is taken in a lodge called Mashatu in Botswana. This particular lodge has a series of underground hides that have been installed, which are essentially 20-foot shipping containers that keep you safe and allows you to be extremely close from ground level to impressive wildlife. My fourth, and I would say just as important as camera technical, is knowing your subject. Quite often knowing the species or behaviour of the subject is more important than willing yourself on luck or relying on luck. By knowing your subject, you can preempt what may or may not happen, whether that be specific to behaviour, specific to hunting. It enables you to get the images rather than rely on hoping that the outcome goes in your favour. Thank you for looking through my wildlife kit. Don't forget to check out the website for other unpacked videos.